What's up guys, so episode 4 of Wandavision dropped last Friday and damn did it pack some serious heat. When I was watching the episode, I kind of already knew what type of an episode this was going to be, so it was kind of bittersweet. It's going to be one of those episodes that fills in the gap but doesn't really progress the story further. Otherwise, it was still a great episode, probably the best episode so far. They're doing a wonderful job, but because of the perspective change, we're going to start to learn some things, and that's a hard sum why some things were the way that they were. We start off actually experiencing the blip firsthand. We saw a bit of the blip in Far From Home, but at that point time had elapsed and this was actually in real time. And to make matters worse, before she was snapped away, she was in the hospital with her mother, Maria Rambeau from Captain Marvel, for whatever reason, but her mother was set to make a full recovery from whatever, and then she got snapped while she was taking a nap, and then she finds out that her mother actually died 2 years in the 5-year span of the snap. That's like a double dose of shit that life just dumped on Monica Rambeau's plate, which is horrible, and you can see it. She's in complete disarray in the hospital looking for somebody to make sense of everything. The whole opening scene was handled so well, showing that even though everyone was brought back and it was overall a great thing, not everything was as peachy keen to everyone. You know, just ask Mr. Harrington. It's also so good because it makes you care about Monica Rambeau immediately. As soon as we meet the real Monica Rambeau, we see her not only find out about what has happened in the world in such a hard way as well, but also that her mother died after believing that she would be fine in what feels like just moments that had elapsed, but in reality 5 years had elapsed. So talk about getting the rug pulled out from underneath you, okay? Lots of young Peter Quill from Guardians Volume 1 vibes in the beginning scene when he loses his mother, just tons of that. And after that we get our first introduction to a sword facility and it looks very badass. I love seeing these new organizations pop up in the MCU. It just makes the whole universe feel more actualized. And that's when Monica Rambeau gets assigned to the case in Westview, and that's when she meets Agent Jimmy Woo and he gets introduced into the fray. Shout out to my man Jimmy Woo for finally getting the up close magic on lock from Ant-Man and the Wasp like he was trying to do, and he flexes that shit on site. That's how you know Jimmy Woo is a real one. Shout out to him. We find out that the sword helicopter from episode 2 was actually a real sword drone that they flew in there. This is actually when Monica Rambeau gets sucked into the bubble, which makes me wonder so many things because Jimmy Woo really made it seem like the energy field was selective. So if not anything or anyone, why did the field let Monica Rambeau in? I have my own idea about that, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And this is when Darcy Lewis makes her official MCU comeback. Baddie number 3 enters the fray, to be exact, and she makes serious ground at cracking some of the mysteries that are at play here. A lot of people were actually talking about this scene in particular, and I believe Marvel also released a picture of this whole scene, and it's basically all the missing people or the main characters in Wanda's reality and their real identities. The only one without, of course, being Agnes, and people were kind of making a big deal about this, but she's a witch, and that's why I'm not really scratching my head too hard at this. There's a lot of people that, you know, aren't witches and they don't have their licenses, or, you know, maybe those people are actually indeed witches. You know, you can never know. They probably are, now that I think about it, but I'm not really hyping that up too much. I just think that Agatha Harkness, she's a witch. Why would she even need an ID? While trying to save Monica from this reality, this is the part of the episode that gets extremely meta, and we've never seen this level of meta, at least that I can remember, in the MCU. So it was really nice to see Darcy and Agent Woo, or basically all of us, putting to work the forensic science degrees to solve all the riddles that this series is giving us and trying to piece it all together into some kind of cohesive, comprehensive thing. They are asking all the questions that we've been asking ourselves. You know, what's the deal with the hexagons? Is Vision alive? I thought he was dead. Why is this a sitcom? Why in the 1950s? What's going on here? So it was just really nice to see, I guess, a little bit of ourselves on screen, because we're all just kind of going through this series together, even the people in the show. So that was a pretty cool little thing that they added. It seems like whatever crazy energy that's at play here is making it so anything that passes through the barrier is rendered harmless, which is like fucking insane and malicious and just so weird. Like they did that with the drone. The beehive man, he was wearing like a hazmat suit, and when he went in there, he turned into the beekeeper man. The wire that they were going to use to pull him out, it turned into a jump rope. That's like some silly, malicious demon shit. So that's why, in my opinion, all roads point to malicious ass Mephisto, in my opinion, because that's just the weirdest shit ever, why that would happen. And we don't even know what happened to that guy. I hope he's all right. I don't think he is, to be honest. Maybe we'll see him further down in the series. That'll be pretty cool if maybe they're able to save him, but I think that guy's basically fucked. But like, when this series does eventually end, whichever whatever way they find to make sense of all this and explain everything, it'll be so immensely satisfying. Like, I'm ready for shit to get weird. Basically, the ending of this episode is Darcy and Agent Woo watching the ending of episode 3. As well, we see the climax of the last episode of Wanda expelling Monica from the reality. And we get that very chilling, kind of jump scare-ish moment where we see dead Vision, and it was really good. I knew something was up as soon as I saw like the depth of field, the blurriness of the background. I knew they were keeping something from us. I knew something was going on, and I was like looking as soon as he came in, and I was like, you're not as bright purple as you usually are, buddy. And we saw that, and otherwise it was still like a really good moment. And that's the end of the episode. I do not know how they're bumping up the quality so significantly from episode to episode. It almost makes me wonder how they're gonna keep on going and going, because I think this is the best episode so far. And one of the things that this episode kind of has me thinking is that, what if Monica Rambeau already is Spectrum? What if she has her powers? And hear me out. So in the beginning of the show, when she's in the hospital, she trucks the fuck out of some dude, and she falls down too, but that could just be because she's not focusing. But she seriously, like, they made it a point to show us that she hit the dude hard, not on purpose, right? But he hit the ground. That's also something that I noticed. I don't think they would put that in there just for nothing, because it was just kind of subtle almost, and she was sucked into the bubble, which is odd, right? Because why does she get sucked into the bubble? I've done very peripheral research on who Monica Rambeau is. She was the original female Captain Marvel. Basically, how she got her powers was from this explosion of some guy and some machine that harnessed power from other realities. So now she can like harness and manipulate energy that she comes in contact with and like change herself into like light and all sorts of different energies. As far as I know, take that with a grain of salt. Go do your own research. I need to. I don't know for sure, of course, if that had anything to do with her being sucked into the bubble, but also, you know, she's the first person to kind of diverge. I don't know if it's because she's the first person to go in like on her own will, but she was let in. I mean, she forgot her name at one point. She dropped Ultron, like Jimmy Woo said. You know, she was the only person to have referenced an event from the main reality. So that's why I'm thinking, you know, something's going on. She's different. She's built different. And that's why she's doing all these things that are unprecedented in that reality. And then also when she gets expelled from the reality, I mean, she gets hit through like 3 walls, and then she falls from kind of a tall height when she does get out of the bubble. So I'm like, can a normal person actually withstand that? That's why I'm thinking that maybe she's already Spectrum. Maybe she has some of her powers already, thinking that might be the case. And I'm hoping for it. We've already seen the Spectrum suit, and I think that she's going to make her debut as Spectrum in this show. I don't know if she's going to undergo some kind of process in the time span of this series so she becomes Spectrum, but I personally think that she might already be Spectrum. Take it with a grain of salt. And also, I think it's to make us believe that Wanda is the true villain, but it's barely going to be episode 4, and we're, you know, halfway through the season. I don't think she's going to be the true villain of the series. Obviously, I think Mephisto is coming, but basically, even when Wanda does expel Monica from the reality, I mean, she looks, you know, kind of weird. Like, she looks like she doesn't even know what she's doing almost, or she's under some type of duress or something. I still think that Hydra or AIM are somehow involved in this. I do think Mephisto is involved in this. Maybe they're involved together. Again, they're down bad. They're Nazis that are fucking with the devil. They're down bad. They'll do whatever. They'll do whatever. The episode was made to make us believe that Wanda is the villain, but obviously we know better than that. I have to address the leaks. Now, I won't go into depth on what the leaks were, but basically they're out there. They are real. I think the idea was floating around that they might even drop 5 and 6 just because so much stuff was leaked, and Kevin Feige is probably pissed as fuck right now. That would be dope. But yeah, the leaks are very real. My best advice, guys, is be careful on social media. Try to mute WandaVision words, whatever you think could be associated with the series, anything, any speculation, anything, just mute those words on Twitter or whatever. That's my best advice. They are real. In my opinion, it doesn't change much. That's all I'm giving you. That's the episode. It just jumps up so much. Like, the quality is jumping up so much. I'm not worried about it, but I'm wondering how they're going to keep on outdoing themselves for the remainder of this series. I think the overall consensus is that this is the best episode, and it was a great episode. Really excited about Monica Rambeau. I'm actually hyped for Captain Marvel 2 right now because I know Monica Rambeau is going to be in there, and we're going to see Spectrum. Everything is lining up. If you have any of your own speculations, your own theories, anything, let me know. I'd love to hear it. I probably missed out on some of the stuff, so fill me in on anything that you saw. Any theories you have, I would really love to hear it. That's it. If you like the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.